Welcome back to the SM Auto Reviews. Today we're diving deep into one of the most exhilarating, attention-grabbing, and flat-out gorgeous supercars to come out of Italy in the last decade, the Lamborghini Huracan. This isn't just a car you drive, it's a statement you make every single time you touch that start button. And believe me, if you've never been around one before, the experience is as much about emotion as it is about performance numbers. So buckle up, because by the end of this review, you're going to know exactly why the Huracan has become an icon, and whether it lives up to its legendary status. Now, first things first, when you see the Huracan in person, the design hits you like a wave. Pictures and videos online don't do it justice. The low, aggressive stance, the sharp lines that seem to slice through the air even when it's standing still, and that signature Lamborghini wedge profile all scream speed and drama. You can tell Lamborghini has poured its soul into sculpting a car that blends aerodynamic efficiency with pure, unapologetic theater. Every angle feels purposeful. The front end has this angular nose with large intakes that don't just look menacing, they feed air into the radiators and help keep the engine cool when you're pushing it hard. The Y-shaped LED headlights are instantly recognizable, giving the car this predatory look, almost like it's stalking the road ahead. The side profile is just as dramatic. The doors don't go scissor style like the Aventadors. Lamborghini kept it more traditional here, but that's actually a nod to the car's everyday usability. The side intakes behind the doors pull in huge amounts of air to feed the V10 engine, and the pronounced shoulder line gives it a muscular stance. You can almost imagine the airflow being channeled perfectly over the body, all the way to the rear. Speaking of the rear, that's where Lamborghini really flexes its design muscles. The Huracan's rear end is a masterpiece of aggression. The hexagonal exhaust tips, the diffuser that could double as a piece of race car engineering, and the taillights that form those razor-sharp Y shapes. Every detail feels like it's been obsessed over, from the way the vents are integrated to the subtle spoiler lip that helps with downforce. And when you see it all tied together with a bright, exotic color, think Verde Mantis Green or Orancio Borealis Orange, the Huracan becomes a rolling piece of kinetic art. Step inside and the drama continues, but now you're entering a cockpit that makes you feel like a fighter pilot. Lamborghini has a way of making their interiors feel like they belong in a jet fighter rather than a car. The moment you slide into the low-slung seat, you're greeted by a dashboard filled with sharp angles, hexagonal motifs, and a center console that looks more like a control panel than anything else. Front and center, you have the start-stop button hidden under a red fighter jet-style flap, a detail that never gets old no matter how many times you use it. Flick that cover up, push the button, and the V10 roars to life in a way that sends shivers down your spine. The quality of materials is exactly what you'd expect at this level. Alcantara and fine leather wrap almost every surface, with contrast stitching that mirrors the car's exterior color. Carbon fiber trim pieces are everywhere, from the center console to the door panels, adding to the lightweight, high-performance vibe. The seats are snug and heavily bolstered, designed to hold you in place when cornering hard, but they're still surprisingly comfortable for longer drives, especially if you spec the optional comfort seats instead of the fixed-back racing ones. The digital instrument cluster is a fully customizable 12.3-inch TFT display, and it changes its layout depending on the driving mode you select. In Strada mode, you get a more relaxed, road-friendly display with navigation, media, and basic speed info. Switch to Sport, and the tachometer takes center stage with sharper graphics. Flick it into Casa, and suddenly you've got a race-ready layout that emphasizes revs, gear position, and lap times. The infotainment system isn't as massive as some luxury cars, but it's functional. You get Apple CarPlay, navigation, and a decent audio system. That said, let's be honest. In a Huracan, the only soundtrack you really care about is coming from the engine right behind your ears. Speaking of the engine, this is where the Huracan's soul truly lives. At the heart of the car is a naturally aspirated 5.2-liter V10, an increasingly rare breed in today's turbocharged world. Depending on the variant, it produces anywhere from around 570 horsepower in the early LP 580 to 2 models to over 640 horsepower in the latest Huracan EVO and STO versions. This engine is an absolute gem. It revs to over 8,000 RPM, and the throttle response is instantaneous. There's no waiting for turbos to spool. You put your foot down and the Huracan just explodes forward, accompanied by a soundtrack that's equal parts mechanical scream and exhaust crackle. Performance figures are just as wild as you'd expect. In the all-wheel drive models, you're looking at 0 to 60 miles per hour in just about 2.9 seconds, with a top speed north of 200 miles per hour. Even the rear-wheel drive versions are blisteringly quick, a hair slower to 60, but lighter and with a more playful, tail-happy character. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission is lightning fast, delivering upshifts and downshifts with surgical precision. In automatic mode, it's smooth enough for city driving, but switch to manual with the paddles and it becomes razor sharp, holding gears exactly as long as you want. The driving modes, Strada, Sport, and Casa, fundamentally change the car's personality. Strada softens things up for daily driving, Sport makes the car more eager and the exhaust louder, and Casa unleashes everything for track work. In Casa, the shifts are brutal, the throttle is hypersensitive, and the stability control relaxes enough to let you really push. The all-wheel drive system in most Huracan models means traction is phenomenal, allowing you to put the power down without drama, even in less than perfect conditions. The rear-wheel drive versions trade that security for a more engaging, tourist experience. Handling is another area where the Huracan shines. The chassis is incredibly stiff thanks to its hybrid aluminum and carbon fiber construction. The steering is precise, especially in the updated models that use Lamborghini's LDVI, Lamborghini Dinamica Veicolo Integrata, system, an advanced brain that predicts your next move and adjusts the car's behavior in real time. The car feels planted at high speeds, and with the optional magnetoreological suspension, it can adapt instantly to changes in the road surface. On a twisty road, the Huracan dances between corners with an agility that belies its size. On a track, it's ferociously capable, with immense grip and braking performance from its massive carbon ceramic discs. But what's impressive is how Lamborghini has managed to make the Huracan usable in everyday situations. The visibility isn't terrible for a supercar, you can actually see out of it decently well, and with the front axle lift system, you don't have to fear speed bumps or steep driveways. The ride, while firm, isn't punishing, especially in Strada mode. You could realistically drive it to work or on a weekend getaway without feeling like you've been through a workout. Fuel economy. Well, if you're asking about that, the Huracan probably isn't your kind of car. Expect somewhere around 13 to 14 mpg in the city and maybe 19 to 20 on the highway if you're gentle, but let's be real, nobody buys a Lamborghini for its efficiency. You buy it for the drama, the performance, and the feeling it gives you every time you walk up to it. Now, of course, all of this comes at a price. When the Huracan first launched, the base price was around $200,000, but newer variants like the EVO and STO push well past that, with the STO coming in around $330,000 before options. And options can add up quickly: special paint colors, carbon fiber packages, upgraded wheels, custom interiors. It's not hard to tack on another $30 to $50K. But in return, you're getting a piece of automotive art, a machine that delivers an experience few others can match. There's also something to be said about the Huracan's place in the Lamborghini lineup and in the broader supercar world. It replaced the Gallardo, which was Lamborghini's best-selling model at the time, and it had big shoes to fill. But the Huracan didn't just fill them, it blew past expectations. It brought a new level of refinement to Lamborghini without losing the raw excitement the brand is known for. It's a car that can thrill experienced track drivers but also be approachable enough for someone who's never driven a supercar before. And unlike some exotic cars that feel fragile or temperamental, the Huracan has proven to be relatively reliable, thanks in part to its partnership with Audi under the Volkswagen Group. The build quality is solid, the electronics work as they should, and you don't feel like the car is going to fall apart if you actually drive it. That means owners can enjoy them without the constant fear of something breaking, though, of course, maintenance and servicing on a Lamborghini is still going to cost a premium. In the end, the Lamborghini Huracan is more than just numbers on a spec sheet. It's about the way it makes you feel, the anticipation as you flip up that start button cover, the roar of the V10, the way people stop and stare as you pass by. It's about the connection between you and the machine, whether you're carving through mountain roads, blasting down a highway, or simply pulling up to a cafe. It's a supercar that manages to balance outrageous performance with genuine usability, all wrapped up in one of the most stunning designs on the road today. And that's why, years after its debut, it's still one of the most desirable cars money can buy.